What's happening, guys? Blacksmith here. I'm back. Loads of you have been asking for long form content. We're going back to it. Going to be posting a lot more frequently. We're going to be doing two types of videos mainly. One, I'm going to be doing analysis for bets coming up in the week. And then two, I'll give you some more technical videos talking about how to sports bet. So before I get into it, if you're not in the Telegram group, the link's in the description. Go in there. We post free plays and analysis every day. We just hit a big free play posted, which was a try scorer prop, and it was at 3.6 decimal odds. We've been hitting a lot of free plays recently, and we're gonna have more this weekend for the UFC, so keep your eyes open. We've actually got a load of analysis as well that we posted for today for NRL. Let's get into it. So, when it comes to sports betting, most people are gonna try and pick the winners, and what they do is they default to picking favorites. So I'm gonna give you two underdogs for the UFC this weekend, who I think are live. I'll explain why. I've got their Tapology records on this phone right now, and I'll go through a little bit in terms of the analysis and the stylistic matchups between these two fighters. And it might be surprising to some of you because I've cashed betting on both of the fighters that we're going to bet against this weekend. I'm going to give you some suggestions how you may want to bet these fights. If you want the actual bets, go into the syndicate, which is our paid service. You can get there by going to the Telegram group, send me a message, or click on the link and just sign up, and then ping me a screenshot once you signed up and I'll add you in. So we've got a max bet this weekend, by the way, as well, and it's on an underdog. So let's get into it. So let's start off talking about the main event, because I've got quite a strong opinion about this. And disclaimer, MMA has got a lot of variance in. I'm going to say some things now which are my opinion. I could be wrong. No one is infallible. Even professionals lose. On average, professionals lose if they're betting even money about 55% of the time, to give you an idea. A lot of people have a very warped idea of how much professional gamblers cash. They think they're hitting like 9 out of 10 times. Guys, if you're doing that, you'd be a millionaire within weeks. You'd be a billionaire within months. What professionals do is they've got a big bankroll. They're betting a small amount of that bankroll, and they're doing a lot of bets, and then banking that profit, adding it up, reinvesting it back into their bankroll, growing the bankroll so that small percentage becomes more. And if you can get close to a 10% ROI, which is very elite performance in sports betting, once that bankroll gets to, say, you know, £1,000, that's like £100 a week, $100 a week, whatever your currency is. Once you get to 10,000, now you're cooking. Now you're gonna maybe make 1,000 a week if you're good. So with that out of the way, first underdog I like is in the main event is Sean Strickland. Now, everyone's betting on Fluffy Hernandez, and I get it. I understand why. I've cashed Fluffy a lot of times. He's on a big win streak. I've been betting him to win. I don't think I've bet against him actually so far. So this is a first. And he's a hard fighter to bet against. So let's put his record up here. He's on a crazy streak at the moment. So let's go Anthony Hernandez. So his win streak right now is really why everyone's so high on him. And don't get me wrong, he's on a fantastic streak. His record's 15 wins, 2 losses. And those 2 losses came a long time ago. His last loss was to Kevin Holland by strikes in round 1 back in 2020. And Kevin Holland can knock anyone out. He's got a lot of power. So since then, he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak. How does Fluffy win his fights? He's a very, very good grappler. I wouldn't say he's not the most elite wrestler, but he can get the fight to the ground, and he's got good striking, which helps him get the fight to the ground. The way he gets the fight to the ground is he puts a massive pace on you, and he just out-cardios you. And you can out-cardio someone in the short term. If you make them defend wrestling exchanges, you're making them defend takedowns, you're switching from one takedown to another, fighters will tire very quickly, and you've got your short-term cardio and your more long-term cardio, and he'll just keep being relentless. Where most fighters will take a breath after exploding, or after putting a lot of effort in, he will keep going. And that overwhelms some of his opponents very quickly. Others, it takes some time. But a recurring theme I see with Fluffy Hernandez is he has a lot of wins over fighters who have sus cardio. So if we look at it now, so Edmund Shabazian, that win, Shabazian, notorious for not being able to get out of one round. If he finishes you in the first round, great. If the fight goes longer than 1 round, he's in trouble because he gasses. He's a notorious gasser. He's looked a bit better recently, but back in, so this was 2023, he was known for that. You were betting him to win in round 1 or you were betting against him. Some people would even do a dual bet on both fighters at plus money, him to win in round 1, his opponent to win, you know, and round 2 to start. And I don't really like that method of betting. I'd rather try and pick one or the other, but that just shows you how the market views him as well. And obviously Fluffy survived. Fluffy's very tough. He's hard to put away early, so that is like a fantastic matchup for him. But still, it took him until round 3 to finish him. Then he choked out Kopylov. Pretty good win, I rate that. Kopylov is good, but again, I don't think he's like championship level, and I don't think he's going to get right to the top in the division. But again, this was going back in 2024. This is nothing against Fluffy as well. He fights who he's told to fight, but I'm just telling you what I'm seeing when I see in his record. Then Michel Pereira. Oh wow, another fighter fighting this weekend who's a notorious gasser. And by the way, he's fighting Reese, and I think Pereira's got the ability to knock him out in round 1, but if he doesn't, as in with all his fights, it will get dicey. But he is, in my opinion, the better fighter, the more explosive fighter, the more powerful fighter. But someone told me, or they sent me a screenshot the other day showing that he's been streaming on Twitch for about 8 hours a day during his fight camp. I don't know how true this is, but there have been some questions about Pereira and his commitment to the game. So keep that in mind if you're betting that fight. But anyway, I'm talking about him because Fluffy's a nightmare matchup for someone like him. Fluffy, hard to put away early, very good cardio, good grappling. Pereira's primarily a striker. He cooked him. So that's another opponent he's had where he's had a very good win, but it took him to the 5th round, which still a good win, but you would expect someone like Fluffy to finish Pereira a lot quicker than 5 rounds, because Pereira is gassed by the end of round 2. So I don't rate that win very highly, honestly. Brendan Allen, unanimous decision win, close fight, good win though. And Allen obviously much higher, I rate him a lot more than Pereira. So I do rate that win from Fluffy as well. Couldn't finish him though. A lot of people saying he's going to finish Strickland this weekend. Then Roman Dolidze. Dolidze's good, he's a good grappler, but again, I don't think he's really like an elite fighter. And the reason I keep saying this, but what do you mean, why is he an elite fighter? I mean, because Strickland is, he's a former champion, look who he's been fighting, which I'll get onto in a second. And Dolidze, he was on a nice streak, but he was fighting fighters who were past their prime. His previous wins before fighting Fluffy were Marvin Vettori, Kevin Holland, Anthony Smith. Won all of those, but those are all fighters well past their prime. Before that, he lost to Nassourdine Imavov, and he lost to Marvin Vettori actually in a unanimous decision. So Dolidze is not at the level of Sean Strickland. So this is a much bigger step up for Fluffy. Now, if we look at Sean Strickland's record, the market, in my opinion, is giving him a poor line because he looked bad in his last fight against Dricus. We've got to keep in mind, Dricus, very awkward style, you know, former champ, one of the best out there. And some fighters do have bad performances, and that wasn't a good performance for Sean. But in MMA, people frequently see one bad performance and then they write the fighter off and the fighter comes back and looks like they did in their previous fights. Before that, he beat Costa by split decision. Now, I actually rate Costa. Paulo Costa is a good fighter. Even though he's past his prime, he can give anyone trouble. So, I don't think, well, you'd expect Strickland on paper to finish him, but Costa is a survivor. I mean, look at his record. He fought Robert Whittaker before that to a unanimous decision. Whittaker, very elite. Before that, Rockhold, Vettori, Izzy, Yoel Romero. He's been in there with some of the best. So, even though a lot of people were giving Sean flack for that, he won the fight, and it's against a tough opponent. Before that, he fought Dricus. A lot of people think he won that fight. He lost a split decision, very close fight, and at the time, no one could beat Dricus. Before that, he beat Izzy, one of the best strikers we've seen in the division, and he dominated him for 5 rounds. Absolute domination. Before that, Abus Magomedov knocked him out in round 2. Before that, Nassourdine Imavov, unanimous decision over 5 rounds. Before that, Cannonier lost a split decision. That was back in 2022 though. Again, 5 rounds. Sean Strickland has been fighting 5 rounds for what, 4 years now? Almost 4 years. And he's been fighting the best. Duplessis, Izzy, Abus, very highly touted prospect, who he just absolutely ran through. We cash betting Sean in that situation as well, as we did versus Izzy. Now, Fluffy's style is going to give anyone problems, because when you've got that level of cardio, I say this all the time, I say in my group, cardio is king. We often bet on the fighter with better cardio. And a lot of people are saying he's going to cook Strickland, but Strickland's been renowned for having some of the best cardio in the game. And the other thing he's been renowned for is not being able, his opponents have not been able to take him down. And when he gets taken down, he gets back up. He's also big for the division. Fluffy's pretty big as well, but Sean's bigger. So I've got to ask myself, do I think Fluffy takes Strickland down? I don't think he does. I think he might ride him, and I think he might get, try and get towards his back and fail to do so. And maybe there's some grappling exchanges. But Sean's pretty good at getting out of those situations. Drickus, very good grappler. He's been in there against him. Stronger wrestler, probably than Fluffy. So a lot of people were saying Fluffy's cardio is going to be what melts Sean. But I've not seen that. I've seen Sean pushing the pace in all of his fights. And for Fluffy to get him tired, he's got to grapple him. But Strickland's grappling defense is good. And when Strickland defends a takedown, he often then puts the pressure on. So you've got to think, in my opinion, anyway, I think this fight is primarily going to take place on the feet. Now, a lot of people are saying Strickland striking is very rudimentary. It's just teep, 1-2. It works, and it works against Izzy, one of the best strikers ever. And it was pure domination. Strickland's very hard to get to hit. So is Fluffy going to be able to hit him? Be able to hit him, but I don't think he's going to have that much success. Who's the better striker? Sean Strickland. Who's the harder striker? Who punches harder? Sean Strickland. Sean also has volume. He has pressure. From a sports betting perspective, though, we've got to ask ourselves, what do we think the line should be? The line at the moment, Fluffy is a 1.40 decimal odds favourite. That's saying he wins the fight, I don't know what it is like, nearly 70% of the time, 66% of the time, something like that. Which I just disagree with. I think this is closer to an even money fight. I think Sean will probably bank a couple of rounds, probably the earlier rounds, and then it will start to even up, because Fluffy's cardio is another level to anyone, but Strickland has good cardio. I expect Fluffy to have a cardio advantage, but Strickland's got the striking advantage here. So I think Strickland will score on him. And if you're getting at the moment 3.25 decimal odds for Strickland, that's good value. Now, a safer way to play this one, in my opinion, would be Strickland plus 5.5, so the handicap, which you can get on Bet365. So if Strickland wins 2 rounds on most of the judges, or all the judges' scorecards, or most of the judges' scorecards, that will cash. It's 1.86 decimal odds at the moment. It might be at 1.9 actually at the moment, going up, because everyone's backing Fluffy. I think this fight goes the distance most of the time. A lot of people are saying, look, they've both got a lot of finishes. I could see Strickland finishing Fluffy, actually catching him, but Fluffy's very durable. I think it's going to be a war. I think they're going to fight to the distance. So Strickland spread, I think, is a good way to play it. And there's value on his money line as well. Everyone's on Fluffy. I understand why, but the line, the odds are just wide. 1.4 decimal odds, in my opinion, is very poor value for Fluffy, even though he's got a very good chance to win. And I think he rightfully is the favourite, but he shouldn't be such a big favourite. So what I'm saying is, I think Strickland gets this, but I think it's kind of like a 50-50 fight, which is why his odds being that high are so good. The next one, Chidian Kwani versus Carlos Leal. Now, I was pretty upset when he lost against Rinat Fakhretdinov. I think that was a clear robbery. It was over in Abu Dhabi, I believe, and I thought he easily won that fight, but the judges robbed him. And then he smashed Morono, but come on, like Morono versus a striker, a powerful striker is just always going to get pieced up. He's there to be hit. If you've got power and you can finish him, you're going to smoke him. If you can't finish him, if you're not a power striker, you don't get the volume in, then you let him back into the fight. But I think the UFC liked Leal, and they gave him that matchup to showcase his power, and probably because they felt bad that he didn't get that win against Rinat when they knew he won. Then he fought Muslim Salikov, where he got chinned in 41 seconds of the first round. I like Leal. He's got an exciting style. I like fighters who are boxing base. I think it's a very fun way to, even though I like Muay Thai, I train Muay Thai, boxing, especially if you look in, I'm going on a tangent now, but if you look in ONE FC, boxing and Muay Thai with the 4-ounce gloves has become a lot more important. And I think you're seeing this again in MMA, the evolution of MMA. Boxing is becoming more important because, elbows, knees, they're great. But like we see with Ilia Topuria, if you have powerful punches, it's easy to get finishes, and it's easier to find angles with the smaller gloves. But with Leal, the last fight is very concerning because, look, I I'm not giving him too much grief for dropping his hands in general, because he does drop his hands in his fight, but to have your hands so low 40 seconds into the fight when you're not even tired, even at the end of the fight, you should have your hands up. That's super concerning. And now he's against Chidi, who I think has a great style to beat Liao. Chidi's very long, very good striker. He's old, 37, versus, let's have a look, hold on. Versus Liao, who I think is younger, 31 years old. So there is a narrative that Chidi's a bit older, but Chidi's last fight, he lost to Jake Matthews by a rear naked choke. His weakness is the grappling, we all know this. Is Liao going to grapple him? I don't think so. Before that, absolutely sparked Zaleski. Took Gooden to a decision, he's pretty durable. McKee to a decision. And then some losses before that to some good opposition. Michael Olenchik, Duraev, and Gregory Rodriguez. So he can get chin. But I think in this stylistic matchup, him being an underdog, I don't think that makes sense. I think this should be more of an even fight. So I don't think there's as much value on him as Strickland. But I would expect the line to be like 1.90. So even on both sides. With Liao dropping his hands so low and with the range advantage, I think Chidi is either going to catch him coming in. A lot of people are saying he's going to catch him with a knee, which is what you'd expect. But then the problem with throwing the knees is you are susceptible to getting slept with a right hand. I think Chidi, in this situation, may use elbows when Liao's crashing in and cut him open and score points and even get a stoppage. And I think also his straight punch is going to be a big weapon. I think Liao's going to use hooks, trying to get in close, and Chidi's going to use straight punches. So at the moment, I think you can get Chidi at 2.1 decimal odds, which I think is really good value. I don't think he should be an underdog. And look, you might say you think the line should be 1.9. Is that really good value? Well, yeah. Because in sports betting, the edge you're often getting is like 5%. So if you can get more than 5%, I always say 5% as a buffer. And what I mean by 5% is the implied probability of the odds. So if you can get more than that, then it's a good bet. So I think there is value there. And look, you can take both of those two fighters to win. I just gave you. You only need one of them to win to make profit. And I think Chidi is going to stop Liao. If it goes on late, I think he'll outpoint him. Chidi is liable to get smashed. Just the same with any power punchers. They can both knock each other out, but I think his style is more suited to this matchup. So if I were going to be betting this weekend, I'd look at those two. And with Strickland Hernandez, I like the over as well. The over 2.5 rounds, it's juice, but you could whack, I don't know, you could whack someone who's probably not going to lose, like Judas, even though I don't like doing that with women's MMA, or Diwali. And you can bump the odds up, because I don't think that fight is going to stop. I think if a stoppage does come, it will come from Strickland landing volume over a longer period of time. I don't think Strickland's going to get finished. So that's my breakdown. 2 underdogs for this weekend. As always, remember, underdogs are risky, guys. These both could lose. It can happen, okay? But the numbers are right, the odds are right, the value's good. That's what I'd do if I was betting. Again, get in the free Telegram group. I'll have way more bets for this weekend. We've already got analysis right now in the group. And we'll have free bets coming later on. We'll do a live play-by-play with the UFC as well, where I'll drop some free plays, some long shots. We've got a big parlay as well at 7.82 decimal odds. We cashed our last one in December, so not very many cars ago. Our big parlay at, I think, 6-1 odds. So we've hit these quite often actually over the last couple of years. I used to post them in the free group all the time. We do it sometimes now. It depends what's going on. But there will be some straight bets that are less risky that are more likely to cash in there. So get in the group. I'll get back to you soon, guys, with a video that's going to be more of a technical explanation about sports betting. Good luck this weekend, guys. Let's make some money.